September 1944. World War II had reached a critical point. The Allied forces had pushed through France and were now approaching Germany's borders, but their supply lines were long and fragile. General Bernard Montgomery came up with a bold plan, an operation that could, he hoped, end the war in 1944. It was called Operation Market Garden. The goal was simple but risky. Capture a series of key bridges in the Netherlands to open a direct route into Germany. The final and most crucial bridge stood in the town of Arnhem. If they succeeded, the Allies could bypass Germany's strongest defenses and strike straight at its heart. Timing was everything. Airborne troops would seize the bridges, and ground forces would race to reinforce them. One mistake could turn this daring plan into disaster. This is a story of courage, error, hope, and tragedy. The story of Arnhem, a battle often forgotten, yet one that shaped the course of World War II.
On September 17, 1944, thousands of Allied paratroopers climbed into their planes. British, American, and Polish units were ready to drop behind enemy lines. It was the largest airborne operation in history up to that time. More than 35,000 men would descend into the Netherlands in broad daylight. For the British 1st Airborne Division, their objective was clear: seize the Arnhem Bridge and hold it until reinforcements arrived. The operation was expected to last just 2 or 3 days. But from the start, things went wrong. Drop zones were miles from the bridge. Radios failed. Gliders crashed. And the German defenders, including 2 SS Panzer divisions, were stronger than anyone expected. Dutch civilians cheered the soldiers as they landed. Flowers and apples were offered to the men. Few knew that the nightmare was just beginning. Lieutenant Colonel John Frost led his battalion straight toward the bridge. They fought through ambushes and sniper fire. By nightfall, they had reached the northern end of the bridge, but the southern side was still in German hands. Arnhem had become a siege. Other airborne units were pinned down. Radio contact was chaotic. Supplies were running low. Reinforcements could not arrive on time. For 4 days, Frost's men held their ground. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded. They fought street by street, building by building, against tanks and infantry. When German officers demanded their surrender, Frost's reply was simple: tell them to go to hell. But courage could not change reality. Ammunition ran out. Wounded men lay in basements. By the 5th day, survivors were captured or killed. Arnhem, the key to Market Garden, had fallen.
Meanwhile, the ground forces, XXX Corps, struggled to advance along a single narrow highway. Every delay cost lives. Ambushes and blown bridges slowed them to a crawl. Operation Market Garden collapsed. Over 17,000 Allied soldiers were killed, wounded, or captured. Dutch civilians who had helped the Allies faced brutal German reprisals. The Rhine Bridge at Arnhem remained in German hands until April 1945. The single, bold thrust had failed. Yet, even in defeat, the courage of the men who fought was legendary. Theirs was a battle that tested limits, endurance, and human spirit.
For the Dutch, the fight did not end with the soldiers' capture. Underground resistance networks worked tirelessly. They hid survivors, smuggled messages, and provided food and medicine. Many civilians risked their lives. Families turned homes into secret hospitals. The cost was devastating. When the Germans discovered resistance activity, they punished communities severely. Thousands were executed, imprisoned, or deported. Arnhem itself was evacuated. leaving tens of thousands homeless. Winter brought a new enemy: hunger. Known as the Hunger Winter, 1944-45 saw civilians survive on tulip bulbs and soup. Thousands died from starvation. The bridges meant to bring freedom had instead symbolized isolation and suffering.
By April 1945, Allied forces finally advanced into Arnhem. They found a ruined city. The bridge was destroyed months earlier to prevent German use. Liberation brought joy, but also grief. Families returned to burned homes, lost neighbors, and scattered graves. Arnhem became a symbol of endurance. Veterans of the 1st Airborne returned to honor the Dutch who had helped them. Memorials were built. Every year, people place flowers on graves in Oosterbeek. Operation Market Garden is still studied in military schools, a lesson in ambition, planning, and courage. Arnhem reminds us that sometimes, even in failure, heroism shines brighter than victory. Today, the John Frost Bridge stands as a testament to those who fought and fell. Freedom came at a terrible price, but the memory of bravery endures.